Good afternoon. I think we can all be seated. Love the quiet. Amazing. Your parents would be proud. Welcome. My name is Rick Fuller. I'm the Vice President for Enrollment Management, and I had the pleasure of putting my name on your acceptance letters to SUNY Poly. And yes, for those of you who tested with this, they were real. I did sign every last one of them. I'd like to welcome our faculty, our staff, our special guests. Anybody who's anybody at SUNY Poly should be here today. You were selected, our class of 2020, from the biggest applicant pool in our history as an institution, and together you have the strongest SAT scores in our history. And the good news for you is I was saying the same thing last year and the year before, and I hope to say it next year. This is an institution that's in a good place and moving in even better direction. You come from 7 different states, including every part of New York State, but there's a group of you that's always slightly different from the others, and it's partly because of your whole orientation. So I want to stand. Anybody who's from New York City, Long Island, or New Jersey, just stand. Okay, folks. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Have you taken over yet? Well, welcome to upstate New York. How many of you would classify yourself as being from the Albany area? Just stand up. Okay, thank you very much. How about the Mohawk Valley? Okay. Huh. All right. And Olivia Zegarelli, are you here? She's not. Would you stand up for a second? Would you just tell us where you're from? Where in California? Central California. Well, welcome. Congratulations. Yeah. Olivia, have you seen snow? Have you seen snow? Oh, you have? Oh, good. Okay, great. All right. So we may see you here in the spring semester, too. That's great. You've undoubtedly left at home a lot of family and friends and teachers and coaches and people who really cared about you, people who had your best interests in mind. They put their arms around you metaphorically and helped nurture you to this point, helped say goodbye to you on your journey here. And now there's a whole other group of people who are waiting to embrace you as part of this new experience, this 4 years at SUNY Polytechnic Institute. And so this new group, again, metaphorically, is going to put their arms around you and help you as much as they possibly can to be successful, knowing that it starts with you. But if we could, and this is always a favorite part, everybody who works here, faculty, staff, whatever you do, would you just stand up as part of this new embrace for our students? You work here. Everybody here, this whole group. Great. I mean, if you need to borrow money or anything, these are the people to call. We'll have phone numbers for you later. I'd like to make one shameless plea for help. We need more tour guides and we need more student ambassadors. And for any of you who've enjoyed the admission experience and would like to give back to your now institution of higher learning and also prospective students, we'd love to see you in the admission office. And only one piece of advice from me, and that is the acronym HALT. As a college freshman, be careful not to get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Avoid those things, and I believe your success will be boundless here. I'd like to introduce to you a third-year mechanical engineering technology student who's also president of the Student Association from Gloversville, New York, Samantha Stewart.
Good afternoon. My name is Samantha Stewart. I am your Student Association President here at SUNY Poly. The SUNY Poly Student Association aims to advocate for students' concerns and provide a higher quality of student life. I'm truly honored to be standing on the stage looking out to a sea of smiling faces of people that I recognize and consider to be a part of my Wildcat family. While we are all here on a small campus, we have a very diverse student body, from our gadget gurus to our student athletes. With this one-of-a-kind student body, our campus is able to host memorable events from Apocalypse Week to the Mini Maker Fair, which could not be done without the hard work of students like you. I've been trying to find some meaningful advice to help guide all the first-year students that I know really don't want to be here. But I'm gonna tell you a little secret about my biggest regret from freshman year. I was not involved in campus activities. To be quite honest, I didn't see the fun or purpose behind the events like these. Then I started my role as a resident advisor. I began hosting my own events similar to the ones I avoided all of my freshman year. After successfully hosting my first few events, I learned the importance behind the events and how they bring the campus closer together, creating diverse and unique friendships. Having this realization, I quickly discovered my freshman mistake and fulfilled that missing piece for myself. As I got involved in campus life, I learned that on this small and diverse campus, you are not just a number the school uses to brag about their population. You are a name to some, a friend to many, and a Wildcat family member to me. This is the change that I made and that you can make, starting today, right now, right here at Convocation. In order to keep a positive and connected campus, we need the help, the thoughts, the opinions of every single Wildcat. This is my message to you, that change is the only constant. Look around and participate in the way things are changing and stand up and say something. Be the change. Your voice matters and your Wildcat roar will be heard. Welcome to the class of 2020. I look forward to hearing the changes you want and serving you to the best of my ability. I would now like to welcome Dr. William Durgan, our provost.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. For the most part, we have new students here, so let me extend a special welcome to all of you. There are about 314 of you here. We're delighted to have you. And let me tell you, you're all really smart. Now, that's my way of saying I expect you all to graduate. So there's no reason not to. So please do your absolute best to get through all 4 years and do well. We also have 252 transfer students starting, so you're not the only newbies on campus. There's a number of others, and we also have 82 new graduate students as well. I'd also like to welcome our new faculty members. We have newbies there too. Students don't often think of this, but we do. We work really hard to bring very, very qualified faculty members to campus, and I'm really proud of the incoming class of faculty, as I am of all the faculty who have joined us recently, as I have with all the faculty in general. But I think we do have an exceptional faculty, and I'm really proud of them. We do have the Albany site that you know about, and we're starting about 26 new students down there this year. So it's the second year that we've accepted students to that campus, and it's coming along nicely, and starting a dormitory construction down there, and we'll be building a full-fledged academic program there as well. A couple of successes that we've had over the summer. You know, I have to, whenever I say that, I have to think about my next-door neighbor once when I was a young professor, and I told him what I did, and he said, "Oh, so you have summers off?" I said, "No, you know, we work hard during the summer." And but anyway, we had a very, very successful reaccreditation visit. This is something that may or may not matter too much to you students, but it matters a lot to us. It matters a lot to the state, and it matters a lot to the federal government that we are fully accredited, and we received a full-year reaccreditation from the Middle States Commission on Higher Education, which is our accrediting agency here at SUNY Poly. So we're very, very proud that we came through that with flying colors. We've finished the design of some brand new laboratories to go into Donovan Hall called the CGAM Smart Laboratories. And these will be excellent learn by doing laboratories for all of you. You'll have access to all these laboratories. You'll be able to use them, and I hope you'll take full advantage of them during your time here at SUNY Poly and really use them to support your education. And lastly, we did finish up our strategic plan this summer, and it'll be posted soon. And for those of you who are interested in where we're going as an institution, we hope you'll take a look at that. You know, our mission is to become a premier polytechnic institution, and we're well on our way to do that. That means a couple of things. One is it means student success. My interest is in your success, and I intend to do everything in my power to help you succeed. And I want to work with you, and our faculty want to work with you, and staff want to work with you to achieve success. For faculty, I'm interested in faculty achievement, and the same remarks go to my faculty. You know, I will do everything that I can do to be sure that you succeed in your academic endeavors. And lastly, we've worked really hard to build a wonderful staff here. I'm so proud of the staff we put together here at SUNY Poly, and we really have a high level of staff excellence, and I'm thrilled that we've been able to do that. And we all need to work together if we're going to achieve these goals, and so let's do it. What is a convocation? This may be the first one you've ever been to. It's just an assembly. It's a getting together. And in this case, we're getting together to celebrate the beginning of the academic year. And it's nice to do that in a little bit of a formal sense, have a few of the folks here on campus make some remarks, and have a guest speaker. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We are welcoming the new students especially, and we are really thrilled to have a wonderful freshman class coming in. So with that, let me introduce our Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, Dr. Robert Geer, and he's going to make some remarks and introduce our convocation speaker. So, Professor Geer.
Thanks very much. Good morning and welcome. Rit Fuller, who started off the program, said that you were academically the highest qualified class we've ever had. And I can say that not only the highest qualified class, but also a trend we've been seeing more and more of students really focusing in on those STEM careers. Obviously, you're attending a polytechnic. So these are the careers that are really shaping the world. These are the careers that are changing how we live. And it's no minor coincidence that the speaker we have today has been thinking about those very things for years. When I look out at this campus, I look at the things that SUNY Poly is doing. It's about changing the world. It's about having an impact, and that's exactly what you're going to be doing as you finish your time here, graduate, and go out into the world. And that's exactly why you came here. We look for our students to enjoy their time here, of course. Make those lasting relationships, make those lasting friendships, but be able to develop their own vision, their expertise, their skills, and go out and make a difference in the world. And I see this class as doing this as well or better than any class we've ever hosted. And that's hats off to you, and I think you should be very proud of that. So along that same line, it's my pleasure to introduce John Zogby, our speaker at today's convocation, because so much of John's time has been spent thinking about exactly what you're embarking upon, and that is the world that our youth go into. John's brought the term millennials into the lexicon in terms of how lifestyles have changed. I won't go on to the length of what John has accomplished in his life. John's a favorite son of Utica, New York, and we've been fortunate to have a relationship with John for a very long time. I think he was a adjunct faculty early on at SUNY IT. We're thrilled with his participation. He's spoken here on many occasions. Many of you may know his name, and you can't help but come across his name if you're reading newspapers or the media. He's a respected pollster, and in this part of the country, really for the entire country for that matter, he's led a lot of the thought of how the world is changing, about how our lives are changing, and how your lives are changing. I won't go into how often he's been at the head or at the most accurate levels of polling, both political polling and other trends. He's left a mark that is really indelible in terms of elections. I heard him say earlier that he's really not following this presidential election cycle this year. It's a boring one, so why would anyone follow it? But he's a best-selling author. The Way We'll Be, the Zogby Report on the Transformation of the American Dream, one of his books, of course. The most recent, We Are Many, We Are One, Neo-Tribes and Tribal Analytics in 21st Century America. And what John has done is really just sat back and taken a very insightful look at how life is changing. And I get a front row seat in terms of that when I look at the priorities of some of my own family. My older son, in terms of his priorities as he moved through college. And it really is a different type of landscape than from my generation or the generations in between. At one point, there weren't that many generations in between. There's a lot more generations in between for me now, but that's the way it goes. So it's a pleasure, and once again, welcome. I want to turn this over to John Zogby.
I have one fan. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Bob, Bill, Rit, Samantha, Mary Beth, distinguished others, my longtime friends in the faculty, Ron, Sarner and Joanne, Joseph, Paul Schulman, taught with you guys, to the faculty who weren't even born yet when I started teaching here, hello. The first human being who will live to be 500 years of age has been born already. For the first time in human history, we are able to realistically talk about eradicating poverty and hunger in our lifetimes. We are able to reach people with mental and physical challenges through new technologies in ways we only dreamed were possible 10 or 15 years ago. What an absolutely exciting time it is to be you and to be here. Cutting edge school, smart young people. The future is so bright, and you're going to learn all of the skills that you need in order to be part of those tremendous global and personal changes. So Dr. Gear mentioned the term millennials. That's what you are. Millennial is someone who was born between 1998 backward to 1979. You were 18 to, believe it or not, 37 years of age, and you are all one age cohort. Too often, people misunderstand when I talk about cohorts. They say, oh, well, look, they're different today, but when they grow up into their 30s and 40s, they'll be just like everybody else. The answer is no. There's a difference between an age group and an age cohort. An age group is where you are in the life cycle. So if you're in your 20s, there are common thinking patterns and behaviors that are typical late teens and 20-somethings. Me, how do I look? My relationship, my future. What are you doing like on Friday night like? It's all about me. But that's typical. That's 20-somethings, and then as you move up the life cycle, 30-somethings start to get answers to questions about relationships and careers, family, property. And the 40s or so, you start being concerned with your kids growing up, and so on and so forth. But an age cohort is different. And you're a millennial, and you are an age cohort unto yourself. Because an age cohort is when history invades the lives of young people, and it instills in them a set of values that they will carry with them for the rest of their lives. So, favorite story of mine, when I was in college, Dr. Kenny, my freshman economics professor, served in World War II. Almost everybody did of that age and generation. But you know, he told us so many times, and we never tired of hearing it, he said, you know, December 6, 1941, we were just a bunch of guys sitting in a dorm. And we were talking about girls. It was a Saturday night. We were talking about girls. We were talking about beer. We were talking about sports. December 6, 1941. He said 6:45 Monday morning, December 8th, 1941, we were all standing outside the Selective Service Bureau, the military draft. We couldn't wait to sign up to defend the honor and the existence of our country, which had been attacked, bombed at Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. Point is, they were a bunch of kids doing what kids do, but they became the greatest generation. And fast forward a little bit. I'm a boomer. We were born between 1946 and 1964. We were steeped in the Cold War. Very simple world to understand. Us and them. Good and evil. American values, communism. Two sides. God, the world was so much easier then. And we were the force of good. And then what invaded our lives? Television. And in the early 60s, we began to see, and here we are steeped in this knowledge that we are the greatest and the purest, but we saw civil rights demonstrators getting hosed, getting dogs turned on them, people trying to integrate Greyhound buses, being pulled from Woolworth counters. We almost literally saw our own President of the United States shot dead. How could this happen here? Well, a combination of the fact that there were 78 million of us boomers. There were so many of us, and we got to see firsthand some real challenges to our pattern of thinking. We were a rebellious crowd. More of us went to college than any other previous age cohort, so we had our headquarters, we had our playgrounds, we challenged authority, we had a generation gap between us and the greatest generation. We move on to the next group, Generation X, 1965 to 1978. The Nikes, I call this generation. Smaller group, born into an America that's falling apart, political assassinations, the worst political scandal in American history, Watergate, losing a war for the first time, the United States of America, in Vietnam, global commodity prices, which we thought we could control. Now, the price of oil is going up, things not within our control. In 1973, coffee, sugar, meat, everything went up. And things are going out of control, America kind of falling apart, and in comes this new age cohort. When I was a kid, everybody had a mom and dad at home. Dad went to work, mom stayed home. Stability. We're not saying they loved each other or anything, we're just saying there's stability. But this group, for the first time, they're the first age cohort, they hear 1/3 of marriages ending in divorce, 40%, more than 40% ending in divorce. America's falling apart in income Generation X, the Nikes. Most libertarian of all of our age cohorts. Why? Because they're on their own. They've had to make their own world, recreate their own institutions, their own way. And then we get to you, the millennials. America's first global citizens. 66% of you have passports and have traveled abroad. I want to tell you all about you. What's the thing that invaded your life? Technology. Oh, there's always been technology. But fast-paced technology that you don't know a world without it. And all you know is that you have to run and catch up with it and master it, teach it to us. You go into Best Buy and you walk out and what you're holding in your hand is going to be obsolete in a few weeks. And this is your world, and it's enabled you to have the whole world literally in your hands. But what's happened to you in the process? You're the most diverse age cohort that we've ever had. I'm a boomer. 81% of my age cohort is white. My sons are older millennials. 61% of their age cohort is white. You are, by the time we get to younger millennials, you're about 56, 57% white. My little granddaughter is 3 and born into a world that's 48% white. I'm looking at this class. I did not see this kind of class 40 some odd years ago. And frankly, when I did see African Americans and Latinos and Asians, there was a longest time everywhere on campuses and in high schools, blacks in one corner, Asians in another corner, Latinos in still another corner. That's done. You folks are diverse and appreciate diversity. How did it get that way? I have 3 sons. They used to watch MTV. And I watched MTV morph from 24 hours of the most annoying music videos imaginable into MTV News. And I loved watching it because what was the news all about? It was about kids their age everywhere in the world. And they learned about other cultures and saw other faces and experienced it in integrated schools. And what makes you so different than us is that we learned of other people as the other. And you have no concept of the other. That's not only in terms of race, that's in terms of gender. Gender and gender relations are being redefined. We're adjusting to gay marriage. You guys have one word, marriage. The rest are details you don't care about. You are less likely to go to war. I know that from my polling about millennials. Why? Because you go to war against the other, and you don't have a sense of the other. You can't go to war against people who are just like you. You're the first age cohort in this country to play more soccer than football, baseball, or basketball. That's very significant. That is a global sport. That's so different from the world in which we grew up. When my boys were young, my wife signed me up to coach them in soccer. Easy. They got down to the Z's, and everyone had said no, and so there I was. And so these are 5- and 6-year-old kids, and one of the fathers comes up to me, and he says, John, I expect you to teach these kids the fundamentals of soccer. I don't know soccer. I never played it in my life. Maybe once I was a little drunk in college and we went out in the snow and kicked a ball, but they learned no fundamentals of soccer during those 2 months. Whatever they learned, they did on their own. More about you. 85% of you. That is so much higher than any other age cohort. It's not even close. 85% of you say, I want to leave this world a better place because of something that I did. 77% of you and growing say, I want to work for an entity that affords me the opportunity to change the world, to either make my community better or make my world better. 62% of you, all of these numbers off the charts, by way of contrasting with other age cohorts, 62% say it is important for me to support a global charity of some sort. You're America's first globals. Astounding numbers that I watch change with each passing year. So about 3/4 of you want a long-term relationship, whether it's marriage or a significant other. But 26% of you and growing say it is likely that my significant other or spouse and I will be living on 2 different continents. 25% say it is likely that we will raise a child while living on 2 different continents. Your social networks. Who are your friends? Well, it used to be very easy. Friends, like everything else, used to be geographically and spatially based. Someone that I work with, someone who sits next to me in class, someone who's in a gym class with me, someone I grew up with. Your friends are your social networks. And your social networks are incredibly diverse. When I ask, do you have someone in your social network who is from, this is among American millennials, someone in your social network from China, from South Asia, from whatever, the lowest percentage I get are the 31% of you who say, there is someone in my social network from sub-Saharan Africa. Unbelievable. So let me tell you something about you. You're extremely important. You're changing the world. That gives me tremendous hope. You're also so huge in numbers. I said there were 78 million boomers. You're at 83 million already and growing. So the rest of us not only have to recognize that, we have to embrace it. It's your world. You have as much to teach us as we have to teach you. And the nice thing is you get it. I told you that we boomers and the greatest generation, that we had some sort of generation gap, a significant cultural difference. I don't see that between you and between us. What we need is a mutual recognition that we have so much to offer each other. So let me end on a very practical note. Beyond this convocation, SUNY is the most important place that you can be. This is going to empower you to master the capacity to deal with new technologies, the Internet of Things, all of the things that will be rapidly changing our lives, not only to adjust to them, to create them as well. That's very exciting. By the same token, there's something very practical here. Take any one of the almanacs, the World Almanac, the Information Please Almanac, the New York Times Almanac. It's all got the same information in it. And look at income and earnings in the United States by educational achievement. And it is absolutely stunning that without a high school diploma, you're at a certain level. But with each increment of education achieved, your income not only goes up, it's a 45-degree angle. The trajectory is enormous. When people tell you you can't do it without a degree, I'm going to say to you, it's very, 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 very difficult without a degree. So, you're going to have some bad days. You're going to be thinking about chucking it all. You're going to get depressed at times. We do that. You're going to make a bad choice here or there. But bad choices are something that all of us make. They should not be life-threatening or life-ending. Your degree is the prize. Keep your eyes on the prize. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zogby. I'm, by the way, a baby boomer as well. Your research on the millennials is certainly insightful and helps us to understand a little bit more about why we all do the things that we do. We appreciate you joining us today as we celebrate the start of our new academic year and officially mark the beginning of the class of 2020 joining the SUNY Poly community. As Samantha said, you're all Wildcats now. We are here to support you, to mentor you, to encourage you, and to educate you. We look forward to watching you grow over the next 4 years and help contribute to your success. And you will succeed. It is my pleasure to invite all of you to join us outside of the field house for lunch. We would ask that the members of the class of 2020 please stay for a moment following the convocation so that we can take the class picture. And before I close, I would like to take a moment to welcome one of the very important members of our campus community, and that is Father Paul Drobin, who is our Newman chaplain. once again, congratulations and welcome to the Wildcat community.